Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at the new T6 Premium Soviet battleship that is in the tech tree. Not in the tech tree, in the Blitz pass, what I'm talking about. And that's the Novorossiysk. Now, this ship might look slightly familiar. That's because this is actually the Giulio Cesare, the Italian Tier 5 Premium. But the Cesare had been handed over to the Soviet Union after the war as part of reparations and was sent to port mostly as a training ship and for some refits. The Soviets were adding fresh anti-aircraft guns, and they were planning to replace the 120mm secondaries with their new 130mm guns that I believe we find on some of the higher tier Soviet destroyers. They didn't get around to that though, because at the time she blew up. Not herself, really, although that is disputed, but something exploded pretty catastrophically and made a really large hole in the side. And allegedly, due to neglect on the side of the captain, she actually sank, capsized, and took down over 600 men with her, including a crew that was sent in to assist with damage control. Now, given that that was in the 1950s and that was in the Soviet Union, not a lot of information came out of that. So the official answer was that she had triggered a German mine by using just from her anchor chain, and it certainly corroborated from the size of the explosion and from the fact that there were a lot of other mines being found. Although there is a little bit more of an interesting conspiracy theory around that a bunch of Italian frogmen had infiltrated the area and had blown up the ship in part retaliation and as part of a NATO operation to deny the Soviets access to the ship. Is it true? We will never know. It sounds like a Tom Clancy novel, but from the evidence it looks more like there was actually a German mine that had survived sufficiently long that it managed to blow up and cause the damage to this ship. Either way, she sank and then was later salvaged and scrapped. So not an awful lot more in terms of career happening on this ship. Now, here in game, we have a Tier 6 Giulio Cesare. Okay, we're going to have a look and see how that compares. So the first and obvious comparison is obviously we're going to have to make between the Novorossiysk and the Giulio Cesare herself. And the first thing that we notice is the ship skills are very different. She gets 2 engine boosts, she gets 2 rapid reloads, which we can increase to 3, and she gets 2 sonars. Now, the Soviets were replacing some of the sensor suite as well, so maybe that's a nod to that, although I'm not sure they would have put that there. It would have been nice to see a radar, but it's Tier 6, you don't usually get radars at this tier. The other thing that's noticeable is that the Novorossiysk is pretty low on hit points for a Tier 6 battleship. She effectively has the same health pool as the Giulio Cesare, and while she has slightly better damage control and torpedo damage reduction, which is interesting because I did have a look, but I couldn't find any information about the Novorossiysk receiving any kind of torpedo upgrade. There was an interesting fact, however, that I probably still want to mention, and that's the political impact of the explosion of the Novorossiysk. Because Kuznetsov was the chief of navy at the time, and he wasn't popular because he was pushing for aircraft carriers and all kinds of things that most of the leadership didn't want to hear about. And after the death of Stalin, the explosion on the Novorossiysk was actually used to boot him out of his position and get him demoted and out of the way where he was inconvenient. So yeah, I couldn't find anything on torpedo protection though, so I'm not sure where that comes from. She is a little bit faster, both on the acceleration and the top speed, and turns slightly better, but the rudder has severely degraded And I mean that. We had 12.6 compared to the Giulio Cesare rather ridiculous 9 seconds base turn time. I mean, the Cesare turns like a cruiser. That is sort of what makes her really work really well. Whereas the Novorossiysk does not quite do that. The guns are, well, technically these are the same guns. They have a 20-second base reload compared to the 21 seconds, plus obviously you get the rapid reload. You've got the same 10 guns, the bored out 305s to 320mm. But while the HE damage is a little bit better, the AP damage is actually worse than on the Cesare. And the range is a little bit better, but marginally so. The secondaries, as mentioned, are still the same. They have gained a little bit of range and a little bit of damage, but it's insignificant. And the AA is a bit of a letdown, because given that this was the one refit that was actually performed from what I understood, she should have gotten a lot better AA, because this was a post-war refit than what she has here. But it's for all intents and purposes the same as on tier 5, which means even for tier 5 standards, that wasn't a great AA. And for tier 6, yeah, the surface detection is identical. Let's compare her quickly to the Andrea Doria, because that would be the Italian counterpart at tier 6. And yeah, there you see that even the Andrea Doria, which isn't the sturdiest ship out there, has more hit points than this thing. Similar maneuverability as well. And obviously the same guns, although the AP does more damage even here. And she has a better range on these guns, which is also disappointing a little bit. And yeah, the AA is better on the Italian, and the Italians are not known for their AA. So lastly, what would be the Soviet equivalent? That would be the Ismail, which gets the Precise Aim 2, which gets significantly more hit points. And even though she is worse off in terms of maneuverability, and maybe that's where they've kind of taken the middle ground here, she gets 12 356mm guns compared to 10 320mm, which obviously are higher in stats. But then she doesn't get the rapid reload. But still, that is... and yeah, this is... I mean, she's not an AA monster for tier 6, but this is a good tier 6 battleship. It's a very good tier 6 battleship. So... what is this then? Well, the other thing that's pretty weird, and I couldn't find a good reason for, is if you compare this ship, have a look at how high the hull is above the water, and then look at the Cesare. This is the same ship, right? I mean, I don't know what happened, but they must have made her a lot lighter than she used to be, because she's sticking out a lot. So she's actually presenting a relatively large target as well. You get the choice between Torpedo's defense system mod, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because she's got a 13.5% base, so you would get 1.35% extra, which is negligible. So it's given that she has probably one of the, I'm not sure if it's the lowest hit point in tier 6, but one of the lowest hit point pools in tier 6 for sure. Getting a couple more hit points is a good thing. So that's what we're going with. Then equipment-wise, I actually have put the main battery mod 2 on there. You could kind of be tempted to use the turret traverse as well, and it would be a good choice too. But the turrets seem to be reasonably sturdy. I haven't really noticed an awful lot of them getting shot off. So getting the extra second off the reload of the base reload together with the rapid reload makes sense for the playstyle, because this is not really a battleship. This is actually more like a battle cruiser, although the distinction is quite sketchy at this tier. But from the playstyle, you're fast and you have a decent burst damage, but you don't really have an awful lot of tanking capabilities in this ship. So that's why I went with it, for just to really focus down on the guns, because the caliber is relatively low for a tier 6. And yeah, obviously propulsion and steering in 2 and 3. Now I have put uncharacteristically a 10-point commander in here, because, well, it is the rapid reload, and I did want to get... you won't have a battleship commander around at level 10 that is matching, because you need the master reloader, and the Soviet ships don't usually get that. They usually get precise aiming, unless you pull them off from a destroyer, but then you wouldn't have the other skills. So, and this is a bit of a custom, but I did want to try what the ship was capable of using the rapid reload to its full potential. Slightly unusually, the high alert for a faster damage control cooldown, because you get 4 damage controls, so you want to make use of them. Obviously, 1 additional rapid reload. You don't need the marksman skill here, so you can actually get the fully prepared for the repair kit cooldown, and oh boy, do you need it. I have not used the recon skill or the battlefield support for an additional sonar, because honestly, this is not a destroyer hunter. The sonar can be useful, but she doesn't have the maneuverability to deal. She does have the speed, but the maneuverability is the way it really hurts. So getting yourself into fights with destroyers doesn't work out too well for you mostly. So instead, given that we have an additional damage control, I'm using the generalist skill here. Obviously, the extinguisher, and in a somewhat French manner, the engine overload, because she is actually pretty quick. And then, yes, obviously the master reloader. The sweet spot I find is around about at 10 seconds. So when your reload is down to 10 seconds, you could do 11, but then you've got to be relatively quick on the second salvo to not miss out. So, but with 10 seconds, 9-10 seconds, you have a second or two to retarget if necessary on the second salvo. The historical camo, while being relatively ugly, I mean, there's nothing on it. It's just blue, right? So if you take that off, it's steel gray, and now it's kind of blue. It's a bit disappointing visually, but it's the standard battleship camo, which gives you hit points, range, dispersion, and torpedo damage reduction, which, yeah, not really going to make an awful lot of difference. Dispersion is meh. The guns have the same sigma value as the Cesare, and they're not meant to be fired at long range. They're not really going to be hitting an awful lot of long range. You really want to get up close and personal with things. Use the speed and use the burst damage. Play a bit more like a French battleship, really. So that's kind of the way that I'm seeing this thing. The one interesting fact from the CIC website is that the Novorossiysk has actually a 7% citadel chance on the AP compared to the 6% on the Giulio Cesare. But still, you don't have, these are 320s, even at point blank, you're not going to punch through a New Mexico's belt armor or something like that. So you do have to target, you do have to know where to target, you have to target deck to get citadels and things. So, I think that about rounds it up. So let's check if how the ship plays and if it's worth getting the Blitz pass for. In the first battle, we are top tier, and we're up against the New Mexico, Bayern, Emerald, Farragut, Ernst Gede, and the Nokotnik. Against other battleships, she can struggle, because the armor isn't the greatest. You don't have the maneuverability of the Giulio Cesare to dodge. And you do have to watch out a little bit. The belt can sort of tank. It's got 250mm belt, which is average for tier 6. But you got to be careful with the larger calibers, like the Bayern. So first thing I'm going to do is use the engine boost to boost my acceleration even more and get off the ground quickly. And then I am probably going to head over towards B Cup, because I can deliver fire support into C from over there, and at the same time actually hold B. So I'm gonna head over there and just get the guns on target and see what we are encountering there. It looks like one of the destroyers has the same idea. I would have actually preferred for the destroyers. If you're in a destroyer and you see the battleship already going to B, and there's not really a reason for you to come along. Like, I would have liked the 2 destroyers to actually go for C Cup, but look, it's mid-tier, right? Turns out a bit chaotic anyway. Okay, Emerald spotted. That's obviously a danger for the destroyers, so a quick snapshot off on that thing. But at this range, yeah, we get 3 hits in, two semi-pens. You do need to get a little bit closer with these guns to make something happen. Now, there's a New Mexico. And, okay, given that the destroyer is... And there's the Bayern as well, great. So given that the destroyer is heading towards B, I'm going to go into reverse here and slow down, because the I can't fight these two guys at the same time, especially not with an skater out there as well. So I'm going to use the rapid reload. I'm sticking to the AP because the penetration is the caliber and the penetration are reasonably low, but I'm still getting mostly overpens. So HE would have been a better choice here, but it depends a little. I thought for a German destroyer, maybe a bit sturdier, it might do full pens, but turned out not to be the case. But that Emerald there looks definitely like he needs some slapping. So still backing off from the New Mexico and the Bayern and going defensive against these two, because I definitely can't take these two on at the same time, especially not while they're focusing on me. So I'm going to try and get the island between myself and them and help the Farragut against the Emerald, because the Emerald is the bigger threat right now for the Farragut, and I can kind of use the Farragut. So yeah, Emerald, if you do that. Sonar up to see where the inevitable Emerald torpedoes are, and I'm already accelerating because I'm expecting that he's dropped torpedoes because he's not shooting at anybody. And now he's turning, so yes, he's definitely forgone the Farragut and he's trying to kill me, which I'm happy with, because I can use the engine accelerator to just boost out of there, kill the Emerald, dodge all his torpedoes, and that means the Farragut has survived. The Emerald hasn't done anything, and now we've got two battleships that are having a destroyer, and we've also got I think it was the Fubuki coming back from the other side. So now we can unload at these guys and make ourselves useful. And I'm trying to keep my distance a little bit here until my heel comes off cooldown. But yeah, there are the Farragut's torpedoes coming in. The New Mexico and the Bayern look like they're more focused on the destroyers now and coming under fire from all directions. So now I think I can get in a little closer now. Oh no, actually the New Mexico is still shooting at me, I believe. I'm more afraid of the Bayern's guns than the New Mexico's, to be honest. But oh yeah, there comes the Bayern. Okay, so they have decided, oh yeah, that's because the Farragut has disengaged. Oops, okay, well, I guess we're doing this now. Let's go in and see if we can make short work of that New Mexico quickly, while we are giving way too much broadside to the Bayern. Yeah, the New Mexico's guns, not so much. The Bayern's guns is what I'm more scared of. And let's get a shot out there, yeah, without the lock-on, so I don't hit the belt on the New Mexico. Because New Mexico's got 350, yes, and that's why I'm scared of the Bayern. The New Mexico's got 350mm belt, I believe, or something around that corner. There's no way I'm punching through that, even at this range. So I do need to manually target to... Okay, someone can finish that thing off, right? I need to kind of turn away a little bit from that Bayern. Okay, Bayern's found himself something else to shoot at. So New Mexico's dead, and we can unload a bit more at the Bayern. Now please play with that destroyer and leave me alone here, just so I can farm a little bit more damage. That would be lovely. And I can still use, I've still got one rapid reload that I can use. And now he's shooting at me again. Why are you shooting at me? Shoot at the Fubuki. He's well, to be fair, I'm low health, and he's probably trying to get the only kill, the only kill in his team before he goes down. Let's see if I can still catch him before he catches me. Shots out. And full on turn. Come on, turn, you thing. Last salvo out. That should be the Bayern, but I think, yeah. So he's got me. Sorry, team. No ruffle stomp medal. I messed that up. But I'm not sure if I still got the Bayern, or no, I only have the one kill. So somebody else must have caught the Bayern just now when he was on no hit points. But like I said, you have to play this a bit more like a French battleship. So with the big difference between this and the Cesare, that you don't have the maneuverability that you have in that thing. So look at the poor enemy team. Let's do that again. And in the second battle, we are up bottom tier, up against Hiryu, Nelson, Nagato, Bayern, Miyoko, Shiratsuyu, and Icarus. And we're playing Haven on domination. So yeah, like I said, French battleship is probably a good comparison. Relatively poor armor. The belt can kind of hold up, but any kind of 380mm shells are going to make very short work of you. But she's quick. Unfortunately, not quite as maneuverable as I would have liked her to be. So, let's see what the destroyer does if he goes A or B. Lebrecht Mars, good to have around. So let's see where he's going. We might have a carrier scout around B Cup, or depending where the carrier goes. Yep, carrier seems to be scouting the area, which is always appreciated. Destroyer goes A, so I'm heading towards B. Not yet using my engine boost here because, well, no, the battle just started, and It's mid-tier, so it's entirely possible that part of the enemy teams are actually coming into B Cup, the same way that our team is really not going to concentrate on B Cup, which is something you would more expect in higher tier battles. So in mid-tier, everybody's just sailing straight ahead pretty much. So the enemy team is focusing hard on the enemy cups, whereas we are going to deal with B. And what do we got? We've got Cruiser and we've got the Shiratsuyu. So let's get the AP out of the tubes, and then we'll reload the AG to deal with the Shiratsuyu. Hello, Mr. Shiratsuyu. Here's a big bad battleship. Come on, come and torpedo me, because there's a Leberecht Mars. Don't pay any attention to that Leberecht Mars on your right, on your left rather. There he comes. Yeah. Focus on the battleship. Focus on the battleship. Okay, I think he took 2 torpedoes and a couple more shots, but Leberecht Mars actually got him. Nicely done. Yep, I've got the sonar up just in case, and yes, his torpedoes going wide. He set them too early, unless these were the Miyoko torps, and he didn't even get around to it. Okay, so there's a Miyoko out there, and there's a Nagato. Now, Nagato is an extremely good tier 7 battleship. So I'm outclassed by that thing, but he's got a Leberecht Mars to play with. So let's do the same trick again and see if we can distract the Nagato. So yeah, he's shooting at the Leberecht Mars. Let's see if we can distract the Nagato sufficiently that he's not paying any attention to the destroyer. Okay, so you've seen that there's a Leberecht Mars. You know that he's got torpedoes out, right? So we will tank for that thing, and come on, shoot at the battleship. Not at the destroyer, and he's also coming under carrier attack. Nicely done, the carrier. So carrier's been paying attention. We have enemy air coming in. There's not an awful lot I can do about this. And we do have the Miyoko around the corner here, so I do have to be a little bit careful. But it's, yeah, so he's focusing on me. He's still got the HE loaded, which is much appreciated, because Nagato AP would have made my life very, very interesting very quickly. Okay, that's the dead Nagato. Which now leaves the Miyoko. Now Leberecht Mars has had enough, and he's also coming under carrier attack and Miyoko attack, and the carrier has taken out my Leberecht Mars, which is unfortunate. But Miyoko has just dropped torpedoes, so he's out on this side, and he is relatively close. Let's see if I can donk some shells into his side here. Yes, I can, but now, obviously, if he's turning around, he's got the torpedo power to make my life very unpleasant very quickly as well. So I do now need to sort of kite away from him, because if he gets to turn around and use torpedoes on the other side, then things don't look as good as they do. So he's coming in from a run-up. I think the Miyoko's torpedo angles are pretty bad forward. So as long as I'm staying ahead of him, I don't think he can actually get his torpedoes away without giving broadside. So now I'm just going to run away. Run away! Bravely. And I'm just going to use the rear turrets to unload at the Miyoko. Now, double fire. I am going to dunk on that. And is he trying? He can't get his torpedoes around without turning the ship broadside. That much I know. So he's trying to get as close as possible to make sure that the torpedoes are going to hit. Now I am going to run into an island here, so I'm going to have to turn at some point. But I think the Miyoko has just now realized that this isn't working. And he's backing up, actually. So he's going defensive now. He still can't use his torpedoes. And I can use my rapid reload, even though it's just the rear turrets, and get a couple of shots off. Come on. Oh, just one hit. That's unfortunate. Dispersion there playing tricks on me. And now I can go broadside, because he's far away enough that I can dodge his torpedoes if they're coming in. But I do have an Icarus behind me. Ah, crap. you just don't get a break here, do you? Okay, that should be the end of the Miyoko. Back to the high explosive. Dispersion says nope. Dang it. Okay, back to the armor piercing. Could have done without that. And I need to... Another fire, another Damacon. I need to run away from the Icarus. I know that the Miyoko isn't going to torpedo me here, but that Icarus is coming after me. And Carrier, if you could do something about the Icarus, that would be grand. Yeah, I know, I've seen him, but I'm busy, all right? Busy carrying everybody here, so... in the bottom tier battleships. So now the Miyoko is dead. Anyway. Okay, now we can switch to the high explosive, and now I have to run away from the Icarus, because that's a full health Icarus. And I don't have the maneuverability to dogfight that thing. Of course, it sets fire instantly. Because that's just how it goes. I only have my rear turrets, and my dispersion is a bit garbage. Now, I'm running towards an island. I have to go either left or right. Either way I'm going to go, I'm screwed, because the Icarus will have torpedoes away, because he is close enough. I mean, he is running really close. Okay, he is on fire as well. He Damacons the single fire, which is unnecessary. So one more fire, and it'll be perma. But unfortunately now, He smokes up and I don't have a hydro ready, which is very unfortunate. So now all I can do is turn and try to get the island between myself and him, but he hasn't fired his torpedoes. He knows what he's doing. Now he's probably gonna drop me. Carrier is helping out, to his credit. So now he's gonna drop me. There comes the single fire. There's no way I can dodge this. So I'm gonna try and get the other get my guns on target. But yeah, I should have turned the other way, because he was actually smart and not dropping in a single line. Like I said, he knows what he's doing, but he's now double permafire because he damaged that single fire earlier. That's the one thing he doesn't know that he was doing. Now, he can just kill me with guns. I'm on 200 hit points. Come on, can I get another salvo off? I can, but we've lost... he is still on double permafire. He's still one fire. Come on, yes! I still got him. Well played by the Icarus, by the way. That was well done. And... had to pull all the tricks here and with a little help from the carrier to make that one happen. But we won, and that's all that counts. And we still came out on top of the team. So, the Novorossiysk, is it worth getting the Blitz Pass for? Now, well, you're not just getting the Blitz Pass for that thing, you're also getting the Blitz Pass for all the resources that are in there, which I haven't calculated. You're gonna have to have a look yourself, but it's not a great battleship. I'd say she's kind of a midfield. She's kind of an average battleship for tier 6. More like a battle cruiser. You can kind of play it like a really small French battleship, or like something like a Dunkerque with without the turret layout. That's probably also a decent comparison. So it's an okay ship. The advantages are definitely around the speed and the burst damage output. The guns are okay. Without the rapid reload, it'd be dreadful. And the maneuverability is where it hurts a little. And what I would have really liked to see would have been a much better AA, and maybe a defensive AA, to give credit to the refit instead of sonar, which can kind of be useful, but you're really not a ship that can play easily in a highly maneuverable dogfight with things like destroyers or cruisers. So you do have to be very, very careful in these kind of scenarios. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.